Oh, you got lost. I'm sorry.
It's good. You're good, brother. All right. Yeah, the email's going on right now. All right, everybody. Hey, welcome to this new episode of Note Night in America. We hope you guys are doing well. You're rocking and rolling along. Hopefully, you had an amazing weekend out there for all the fathers and the father figures. Happy Father Day. Hopefully, it wasn't too dang hot, so you got to enjoy yourselves and have some quality time. But today, we are in for a big treat. We've got a special guest here who's going to go through some stuff. Yes, hopefully, you had found some humor in the email I sent out about how secure is your mothership with the Star Trek theme to it. But before we dive into the nuts and bolts, there's a few things I just want to go through with you guys, and then we will let our special rock star expert take it away from you guys here tonight. But anyway, if you are new to Note Night in America, hey, we've been doing these for 13 years roughly on Monday nights. It's hard to believe we've been doing it so freaking long, going back to 2011 back in the day, but 13 years of Monday night webinars and education. You can catch those audio replays and video replays in two different areas. The first one, you can go to weclosenotes.tv. That's our #1 YouTube channel out there for you guys. You can catch every one of the video from Notes Night in America. That's a couple hundred. Or you can check out the most recent, like 170 on the Note Night in America podcast. As always, we encourage you to listen to either or watch those. They're great to listen to, but oftentimes there's a lot of stuff that you want to go back and watch. We go through different tapes and due diligence and a variety of different things. We've got some really great stuff upcoming here in the next few weeks, so you definitely want to take advantage of and either listen and or watch or do both. But we are so honored that you guys out there that watch and listen, you've helped make us the #1 podcast for note investors now for several years running with the Note Closure Show. And then we just hit a milestone this past yesterday, I guess it was actually, with the #1 YouTube channel. We've had it #1 for a while, but we just hit the 8,000 subscriber mark on our little small niche YouTube channel out there with over 2,200 videos and over 400,000 downloads on there. Thank you so much. We continue to deliver. You guys keep listening, and we'll just keep rocking it out. But tonight's episode, before I get into that, if you missed the Monday coaching call we do at noon that we live stream to YouTube with our coaching students and WC Incro members, you may want to go check it out before we make it private. We haven't done this in a while, but for several years, usually about 2 years in between, we do something special called the Banking Blitzkrieg, where we get 25 to 50 people out there and we call blitz, email, LinkedIn blitz, asset managers. And if you're around for the full 4 weeks, you can get the combined list of everybody. As a part of it, we'll talk more about this on a podcast episode. So check it out to the Note Closure Show. That'll go live tomorrow. Or go to bankingblitz.com. This is one thing that if you get signed up it and you fulfill it for 4 weeks, we'll actually refund you back the $5.99 cost for it. Plus, you'll get the whole list of contacts that everybody has. So it's a unique thing. Nobody else does this in the industry. I will actually be filming my call blitzes on Wednesdays or Thursdays, starting the first week of July, after 4th of July, of course. And so something that you guys can stay tuned and really dive into and really take your business to the next level here in the second half of 2024. It's hard to believe we're coming up on this beginning of the third quarter. So lots of great stuff there for you. But tonight, I forgot this as well too. We have an upcoming workshop this next week. Next Friday, Saturday, Sunday is our next 3-day Note Buying for Dummies virtual workshop. Replays are available if you can't make it Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll record it for everybody so you can go back and watch. You don't have to wait till then. If you get signed up today, you can actually get the replays to the March workshop and get started. Normal cost is $997. That includes the 3-day workshop, the replays, the 200-page manual, some other bonuses of other classes and other marketing, a full due diligence workshop, a full wholesaling notes workshop, lots of great buys out there. It's the biggest bang for the buck, but what we're running is a 50% off sale that actually ends Thursday because we start Friday at 9 a.m. You can get signed up for that by going to notebuyingfordummies.com, HTTP notebuyingfordummies.com, and get signed up, and we'll get you rocking and rolling. But anyway, let's get into the meat and potatoes. Why you're here tonight, after probably laughing at the email I sent out about Scotty giving her all she's got. But, the beautiful thing, ladies and gentlemen, is if you're any type of sci-fi fan, of course, I grew up being a big fan of Star Trek, and Jean-Luc Picard and Captain Kirk, and I got the chance to meet William Shatner once before on stage, and some other folks that were a part of that amazing Star Trek movie series and stuff like that. But one of the great things about we live in the 21st century is marketing is always evolving. What you're doing in marketing is always changing. Unfortunately, I get very disappointed when I see like itineraries for like different note conferences and expos. There's nothing talking about marketing and what you need to be having in today's world. Most people are marketing like it's 1957 and Sputnik is the latest thing to happen. Most of you guys are not. You're living in today's world. You've got to evolve. You've got to do things better. Yes, I know the industry is full of a lot of baby blue hairs, older guys, older gals that, well, we like to send out direct mail. No, we don't do that. Okay. And that's part of what we're going to talk about tonight is how you can leverage 21st century technology and put some of these things to work for you to make things happening. And by having it all really comes down to one main thing that we all need to have. You used not to have it years ago. And we'll talk more about that in a second. But my special guest tonight, we've been hashing this out, we've been talking for about a month based on schedule. We were supposed to do this last Monday and something popped up. So really honored to have him be here tonight. He is over 10 years of experience with WordPress development. He was a previously developer for JP Morgan Chase in the banking industry. He's an expert in communications and website security. He's built websites for investors of all types for years out there, including some of our coaching students, and just does a tremendous job. He calls Columbus, Ohio home, so he's a big Michigan Wolverines fan, right? Because he's wearing Michigan blue right tonight. I know, I'm joking. He's gonna log off and say, "Hey, go pound sand, go beam yourself somewhere else." But anyway, we're honored to have our buddy William McMeans join us here on the Note Night in America webinar. What's going on, Mac? How you doing, buddy?
I am doing really well. I appreciate the opportunity, Scott. I really do, to be able to share with you and share with everyone who's on the call here. So let me get my slide deck started here. Let me know if you can.
Yeah. Not yet. You just hit the share and then pull it up there. It should pop up in a second here. Once the screen goes back and you pick. But I'm always amazed. We can get this while you're pulling it up here. So many people want to be a real estate investor. They want to be marketing, want to be making money, want to be contacting banks, asset managers, raising capital from private investors. But they look like the guy on the side of the road holding a sign. Will work for notes. You know what I mean? When it comes to their marketing. And I'm like, it literally blows my mind. I know you must be pulling all your hair out about it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. All right, I'm going to share the screen here. Let me know if that comes up.
No, not yet. If you probably needed the PowerPoint on your main where your Zoom is what I found. If you've got it on two different screens, it may not. Oh, there we go.
I do.
Looks like we got it there. He is beaming it over. We see your Coliseum.
Oh, okay.
Your green screen or your screensaver.
I apologize. Yeah,
it's okay. You know what? Because it's a good thing you're a better website builder than Zoom.
It is. I don't do this nearly often enough.
Yeah, no, it's not a problem. We have, and there's so many of these different things out there too. I was on somebody's earlier last week. He was using StreamYard, and I could get my slides to share for anything. He's like, "Oh, I got to add a setting or two to it." So,
great.
Let's see here.
Is that going to try to see?
And we got a black screen business website. Note bar. There we go. Go see mac.com. Yeah. Was that your first slide or no?
Yep.
Awesome.
Here you go. Excuse me. For that slow start. But yeah, look, I want to talk to everybody tonight about building a business website. As Scott mentioned, this isn't the 1950s. It's not the 1960s. This isn't when Al Gore made the internet. I mean, we can do some really cool stuff. It doesn't cost a lot of money. We can take advantage and leverage a lot of really great technology. And I'd like to talk to everybody about that tonight. So without further ado, this webinar, we're going to look at the details of a business website and related services. And obviously, this is for a very special and select clientele called note buyers and note sellers.
Mm-hmm. We're a unique little niche out there, aren't we?
I'm sorry, what's that, Scott?
I say we're a unique niche out there.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. A good niche. A good niche. So I'm jazzed, and I want to tell you why I'm jazzed. I'm jazzed because I'm talking to a group of people who have the ability to act on an idea. It's the idea of dream versus do. And this really speaks to your creativity. I'm jazzed because I'm talking to a group of people who have the desire to start a business. You're very zealous. I'm talking to a group of people who are able to take a risk to fulfill a dream. Very, very important. Motivated people. And I'm kind of jazzed because I'm talking to people who intend to succeed, launching a new adventure. You're not doing this to fail. You're doing this to succeed. So you have lots of follow through. So who am I really talking about? I'm talking about entrepreneurs. I'm talking to entrepreneurs, and it's pretty exciting. You are the creative, zealous, motivated risk takers who follow through on your dreams. You're the ones who break new ground. Now, I know who you are, but do you know who I am? My name is William McMeans, but I go by Mac because it's the nickname that I picked up in the service. Now, last names with 2 syllables are way too complicated for most people in the military. So McMeans got shortened to Mac, and it just stuck. I've lived with it for the rest of my life. I'm a husband, I'm a father of 4, I'm a brother of 3, I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I served overseas as a pastor to military and refugee congregations in Germany, and I've held a top secret security clearance working for the Army. Now, here's a fun fact. I was in Munich when the Cold War ended. So, talk a little bit about the blue hairs, but, it was a pretty cool thing back then.
Really cool thing when that happened. Definitely.
It was. Now, why is any of this important? Well, as a former pastor, treating people truthfully and honestly is important to me. I really want to bring that out. And the second thing I want to say is, since the government trusted me with a top secret security clearance, you can trust me with your information, whatever it may be. And you can trust that I will, be forthright with you on whatever we end up doing. You can trust me with your domain name creation. If you need a reputable registrar, I can help. If you're looking for that perfect domain name, I'm very good at brainstorming. I will also ensure that your DNS zone records are correct. Very, very important. You can trust me with your web hosting plan. Now, if you already have hosting, I could work with them. But if they're inferior or lacking, I'm going to be transparent with you. I'm going to tell you so. If you need hosting, I can recommend the best. You can trust me with your WordPress site. Obviously, you see where this is going. A WordPress site has hundreds of moving parts. I understand how they all work together. Everything from user administration to disaster recovery to event audits to configuration management, security hardening. I've got you covered. And of course, I also understand the basics about holistic SEO fundamentals as well. Now, you can trust me with your email configuration, and it's okay if you don't know what a DKIM is or an SPF record or a DMARC, and that's okay. I've got you covered. I can take care of all that. It ends up getting very technical, very fast, but that's my job. I will run interference for you.
Let's talk about that briefly if people don't know what that means. Recently, a lot of the major email services have really tightened up their security. And if you don't have a DKIM registration, basically verifying that you're real, your emails are not going through. So if you've seen a huge reduction in your open rates for Yahoo, Gmail, and some of those, that's because your email is not DKIM configured properly.
Exactly. And here's what happens. Your email will always go out. The issue is who you send it to. They might think twice about receiving it. If your SPF record is, or your DKIM or your DMARC, if none of that is the way that it should be, they're going to flag you as spam. And what happens even worse than that is you could be thrown on a blacklist. And if you're thrown on a blacklist, then all bets are off. That means your domain that you send your email out through is done. No one will receive it. So these records are very important. You don't want to end up on a blacklist. It's critical because you guys can't do your business. You can't engage in your industry if you can't send email. So again, I understand how the configuration works. I'm happy to do it for you. Hey, if you know how to do it, more power to you. But if you need some help, I can help with that too. So Who am I? Well, in a nutshell, I'm your trusted partner advisor. I'm not necessarily the leader where I lead and you follow. I'm the person who walks side by side with you. I help you out. I answer your questions. That's who I am. Now we're all, kind of familiar with the phrase "it takes one to know one," especially when we're talking about entrepreneurs. And I'd like to go one better. I like to say it takes one to support one. So, as a fellow entrepreneur, it's my privilege to be able to support you in your business endeavors and getting a word site going, WordPress site going. Now, I'm a WordPress engineer. I've been doing the internet web thing for about 26 years. So, yeah, I'm telling my age, but no problem.
So you were around with punch cards. We're still calling, huh?
Exactly. Big mainframe computers. Exactly. I've got over 10 years dedicated WordPress experience. Lately, I've been focusing exclusively on WordPress SEO, website speed, and security hardening. Very important. And I'd like to share a little bit about my corporate experience. I've designed mobile websites. If anybody knows about the Santa Monica pub crawl out on the coast, I've done a few of their things for several years running. It was a lot of fun. I've also done websites for Ohio U.S. Senate campaigns. I've worked with companies that do educational student travel. Here's an example of their website. And I'm just going to go through these real quick. I've worked for Chase Bank on their back end portal. I've worked for the state of Texas. You may or may not know, watch Scott. I know you know they're the eighth largest economy in the world. It is insane how huge the state of Texas is.
But one day we're going to succeed. One day we'll succeed.
But my role there was supporting the Texas Commissioner of Higher Education. Had a really good time doing that. This is an example of their current website. I've also worked for Campus Crusade for Christ, their corporate website. And currently I've got a side gig. I do bespoke WordPress engineering support for the largest U.S. clean water maker. These guys are out in California. As a matter of fact, they did a gig for San Antonio for their municipal water supply. So these guys do some really cool stuff. Real happy to be affiliated with them. I've also done some private work with private clients, an outfit called Prism Cipher. And what they do is they enforce email privacy by encrypting messages in your browser. So if it's Gmail or Yahoo Mail or Outlook on the web, that's what these guys do. It's kind of neat. It's all free. I've also worked for a company called NetNubby, and what they do is they let you treat any web page like a virtual bulletin board, and you can post a little sticky note on it, like the one there on the screen. So a lot of fun doing some stuff with that. I've worked with political people, outfit called 41 People. Apparently they're a bunch of globalism anarchists. Hey, but don't hold that against them. Okay, just go and visit the graphics on the site. It was a lot of fun to do that, even if you don't agree with their politics. More importantly, I've done websites and web resources for fellow note buyers, and we're going to show a few case examples here. The first one is ljhinvestments.com. And LJH Investments, they're an investment firm specializing in buying and selling distressed and toxic assets. And they've been doing that since about 2006. This is an example.
So Larry's this is Larry Hoffman. So Larry's one of our one-on-one coaching students, actually. So yeah.
Exactly. And now this design, I didn't do this. Larry mocked this all up and he said, Mac, I want it to look like this. And a little fun story. I resisted it. I said, no, Larry, I don't like that. Let's do something else. And I gave it to him. No, it's not what I want. So we went back and forth about 8 times. And then finally I gave in and I did exactly what Larry drew out. And this is what it came out to. And it grows on me. I like it. I like it a lot. Another note investor website, gentleman named Jerry in Kentucky, 5WB LLC. I've done a site for him just within the past 45 days. Now, you'll notice that his site resembles Larry's site a lot, and that is on purpose because Jerry wanted a website similar in look and feel to the ways Larry's sites work. And that's if that's what you want, that's what you want. So I say all this to say we can do original sites, we can do similar sites, but in every site, you are accountable for the content. I stress that. Now, every site that I make for you will have text and graphics that you supply. If you need assistance with a little bit of grammar, a little bit of spelling, I can definitely help out with that. But I'm not going to rewrite your content. You have to supply that. I have a hard and fast rule about plagiarism. All of us should realize we can't get away with it. Once Google knows that you copied a website, your SEO is going to tank, your page rank is going to disappear. I mean,
Yep.
it's not good. There's no sense doing it. Now, that said, we can mimic the basic style and layout of any site that you like. I can help you with drafting a privacy policy page. I can also help you with the terms of service. There's no fun writing that stuff. I know it. So, if you need me to help you out, I can do it. But right up front, you acknowledge I am not an attorney. I mean, these are kind of legal pages. And so if you want them to be legally sufficient, you've got to run them by, whatever attorney you work with. So I'm not going to promise, I'm not going to certify, I'm not going to give any kind of warranty for that, but I will help you so that you'll at least have something. Now, what do you get? Well, obviously, we're going to start with the home page. It's it's the most important page. And again, I'm going to look at Larry's site here. It's vital. It's crucial. Obviously, you have to have one that's got to look good. It's likely going to be the page that has the most backlinks. It's going to be the landing page for the most branded keywords that you're trying to garner. It should clearly indicate to search engines and site visitors what your product or your service or your opportunity is all about. Again, this isn't rocket science. I'm covering the basics here. Like all other pages, you must optimize your homepage for title, meta description, content, schema. That's all the rich text that Google likes to chomp on. It all has to be optimized for that. Now, it's going to happen. It's going to be a function of your website theme, any SEO plugins that you happen to have, and good old-fashioned elbow grease. In other words, there's nothing magic about it. You're going to have to put in the time to get the ranking and the focus and the keywords that you want and that you want people to come to. And the only way you can do it is to do it. Now, the second thing that I really want to point out is the homepage is going to have a lead capture form that interfaces to your email marketing platform, something like Email Octopus or MailChimp. Now, as long as you use a major vendor, I will have no problem linking your form to whoever it is you use. It won't be an issue. You're also going to have an about page. And I'd like to point out that, whether you realize it or not, the about page is the second most important page in your website. And I'm going to go over a few ideas to explain why that is. I don't want you to think that it's optional. You have to have an about page. I don't want you to think that's unnecessary, because it is very, very necessary. Now, how long should an about page be? Well, ideally, we're looking at 300 to 500 words. Anything below 200 words is considered thin content. 500 to 600 words is what most blog posts go for lately. And content that contains 2,000 or more words it's what we call cornerstone content. And about pages, that's just way too much for them. So as long as you stay above the thin content mark and aim towards about 500 words, your about page is going to be fine. Now, if you're wondering here on Larry's, he clocks in at exactly 209 words, and that's fine. It's not too long, not too short. Now, the about page isn't about selling. It really is. You've got plenty of real estate on your website to sell, but not on the about page. The about page is to spread brand awareness and to inform the visitor. It lets them peek backstage. It's like, oh, where am I at? What is this all about? That's the purpose of the about page. And for the next few slides, go ahead and follow the little highlight I've got there, and you can see how this page works. The about page answers the questions: who's behind this information or this opportunity? Where are they located? How can I contact them? The about page has to show who you are, what you stand for, and how your product or service is different from everybody else's. It informs the visitor about the clear direction your organization is headed. Even if you're a solo entrepreneur, it explains your company's core values. For instance, how do you expect potential clients to behave? How can they expect you to behave? Tell them what you do to ensure a good work ethic. And I'm going to brag on Larry here. He always says that doing the right thing is what you do when nobody is watching.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a very good mantra. This page can also show your history. How did your business start? How long has it been, on the market? The About page can show your relationship to the local communities, your company supporting a good cause. Is it reaching out like that? And as soon as you can, it's a good idea to include some social proof. Things like testimonials, case studies, reviews, media publications, awards, all these things you can link to from your About page. It's going to show incredible authority. Now, who are your employees? Even if it's just you, can they be contacted individually? Do you have a team picture? There's nothing better than a friendly face to make a visitor feel welcome when they've gone to this site that they've never been to before. Is there a link to a professional site such as LinkedIn? This adds important credibility. Now, as you can see, Larry's site contains many of the elements of a successful About page. You don't have to use all of these things that I mentioned, but you should consider using as many as you can. Now, the next thing that you're going to get is a blog section. And again, we're going to look at a little bit of what Larry's done. He's got a blog post here about how to be a better investor 8 different ways. Talks about self-directed IRAs and if they actually are worth all the work that they require. And he's also got a blog post about self-directed IRAs and their popularity and why they're popular. So very important. You're also going to have a frequently asked questions page. Here's an example. This is a clean layout example of a set of FAQs. This is what an answer is going to look like once you expand it. Again, nice clean layout, lots of negative space, very easy on the eyes. This is typically my design philosophy, but I can work with whatever you want. Now, if you need additional pages, it's not a problem. Larry has an example of a few of those. He's got his Work With Me top menu link, and that goes off-site. That goes to some other resources that he has. He also has the Sell Your Note link that happens to go to a Google form that he works with as well. So you can really do anything. So let me answer the question, what do you get? Excuse me. You get everything you need to launch a successful note investment business. Let me just grab a quick drink of water here.
And that's the thing is that so many people will have just a landing page as a website, and that's okay for a little bit. It's not the same thing. What I love so much about our website and what Larry's done from us, showing them what to do and stuff like that, and you running with it, is the blog too helps refreshing information. It adds more keywords. It stays current with what's going on, and and one of the most important things to do is show that you're currently active. There's nothing worse than going to a website and seeing like copyright 2020. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Last blog post 5 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So why use WordPress? Mac, you're obviously talking about WordPress. You're going to be pushing WordPress on us. Why are you doing that, dude? Well, I'll tell you, because WordPress powers over 43% of all websites. Now, just let that statistic sink in. It's a current statistic. I researched it. It's not made up. And WordPress's closest competitor isn't even close. No. It's like the difference between saying, how popular is the Google Chrome browser versus the guy in number 2 slot. And the guy in number 2 isn't even on the map. I mean, it's insane how popular WordPress is. It accounts for 62% of the global CMS market share. 472 million websites use WordPress, over 20,000 themes. You can select from 11,000 of those are free. There's a lot of variety. WordPress has over 59,000 plugins. And you know what? Most of those are free. Most of those are free. Now, you might be wondering what private companies use WordPress. And I got a quick list. I'll pull out some: TechCrunch, Microsoft News, Yelp, Angry Birds, Snoop Dogg, Flickr, Time, Wirecutter, Harvard University, Katy Perry, the Rolling Stones. The Rolling Stones website is WordPress. Check it out. It's there.
Yeah.
Now, not to be left out, the government also uses WordPress. We're talking the White House, U.S. Department of State, California DMV, and even NASA. Now, NASA used to use Drupal. A few years ago, they used Drupal. They kicked Drupal to the side and now they're using WordPress, and so is a lot of the government. So it's very, very popular. So why use WordPress? Because you're investing in a solid, maintained, enterprise-grade CMS that keeps growing in popularity and resiliency. It's not going to vanish in the night. It's not going to go away anytime soon. You will not lose your investment. And you can't say that about a lot of other CMSs or software platforms.
Right.
If you go with WordPress, it's there. It keeps growing. It's solid. So it's a good investment. Now, how secure is my site going to be, Mac? Well, I will protect your site with a robust web application firewall. And that's technical speak for I'm going to give you software that keeps out the hackers, that stops the script kiddies. It keeps the bots from doing nasty things to your site. Now, there's two versions of this. There's the free version, or there's the premium version that sets you back about $120 a year. $120 a year is nothing when it comes to securing your website. I mean, it really is nothing. The premium version has real-time firewall updates, very important. The premium version also has country blocking. So let's say you got some bad actors from China or Finland. They keep banging on your site. And with the premium version, you can say, boop, China, no more. You can block all those IPs. It's very nice software. All versions of this firewall offer brute force protection. So if someone is trying to, figure out who your password and your username is on your WordPress login form, it'll stop that. I'm also going to set all the security headers that you may or may not know about. And chances are you don't know about them, because I'll be honest with you, the industry brings up new ones every single day. But things like HSTS, your content security policy, I'm going to set all that for you. Here's an example of a scan that I did on Larry's website today, showing he's got a solid A+, checking for all the major security headers. You can see them right there. Your site's going to be exactly like this. It will have all this done for you. You won't need to worry about it. Secondly, I'm going to ensure that your SSL certificate is working properly. Again, another scan, Larry's website. He's got a solid A, showing that his configuration for his SSL is just the way that it should be. Now you might be wondering, well, how fast is my site going to be? Okay, it's secure. Yeah, I'm going to use WordPress. Okay, how fast is it going to be, Mac? Be honest. Let's talk about this. Well, I'll be honest with you. There's at least two popular test suites that people use to determine how fast their website is. One of them is a website called GT Metrics. And I ran Larry's website through their software. And again, he got a solid A, 93% performance. You might think your website is fast. You can't know until you objectively evaluate it. It makes all the difference. There's also another very popular testing platform. It's called Chrome Lighthouse. It's built into the browser of Chrome. And again, I ran Larry's website through it. The numbers speak for themselves. 97, 93, 96, 100. Okay, so he's down 7 points on accessibility. Big whoop-de-doo. This is solid. This is exactly the way you want your website to perform. And if you let me do it for you, we're going to get there. We're going to get there. We're going to get very, very, very close. So let's talk about the server info. This is going to get a little bit technical, but you know what? There may be some listeners on here who are technical, and they're going to want to know exactly what they're getting. So if you purchase the hosting that I recommend, this is the package that your site is going to run under. We start with a Lightspeed web server in the latest version of PHP. Now, Lightspeed is an Apache alternative that conserves resources without sacrificing performance, without sacrificing security, without sacrificing convenience. It's at least as fast as Nginx. Many of you have heard of Nginx, but it is so much easier to configure. Nginx can be kind of tough, to say the least. QUIC or Quick is an encrypted by default protocol that's fast and secure. You're going to get the latest version of HTTP. You're going to get the latest version of TLS, happens to be 1.3. And this is going to include perfect forward secrecy. Perfect forward secrecy protects past communication in case your network connection was ever intercepted and recorded. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but this is the stuff the NSA loves to do. They're going to take network traffic, they're going to record it. They're not going to bother about decrypting it. They're just going to record it. They're going to throw it in the server and store it someplace, and they're going to decrypt it next year or next 5 years from now. Perfect forward secrecy prevents that. It really does. That's why TLS 1.3 is so important. It is a game changer. You're going to have a Redis server object caching that speeds up your WordPress site because it's going to cache all of your database queries. Solid state drives. They offer fast data transfer rates, low latency, high throughput, parallelism, scalability. You might have a favorite web host, and that's cool. But if they're not giving you SSD storage, you're throwing your money away and they're taking advantage of you. So make sure you've got that. The server configuration that I'm going to expose you to has unlimited bandwidth. There's no artificial caps. There's no limit to email boxes, email accounts. And your site can be physically located on the Atlantic seaboard, the West Coast, or deep in the heart of Texas. We can do what you want to do. So now, how long does it take? Well, I can usually give you your site in under 4 weeks, 28 days. Now, bear in mind that depends on how quickly you respond to the questions that I'm going to have when we're working together. And it depends on how quickly you can coordinate with me if I need to access your email account, your web hosting plan, so I can get things configured for you. If you're real slow in giving me that info, that's going to slow us down. Typically, I will be waiting on you. You will not be waiting on me, because once you give me the information, I'm going to run with it and get things configured. Now, how do the payments work? You pay 50% upfront to start work. And when you're satisfied with the appearance and the functionality of your site, you pay the last 50%. I do not start work on the site until I'm paid the first 50%. But conversely, you don't finish paying me until you feel the site is ready and it's what you and I agreed on doing. So the risk is pretty much equally shared. Now, there are some things that you are responsible to handle, even if you don't understand it. You're still responsible to handle them. Things like your annual domain registration fee. Look, there's going to be people say, Mac, it's so obvious why you're telling me that. And there's going to be someone that says, I don't know what a registration fee is.
Right.
So I'm just putting it out there. All web hosting fees, that's your responsibility. If you purchase an external email service like Titan or Gmail or anything like that, you're responsible for those costs. If you've chosen a premium theme for your site, obviously you have to pay those costs to keep it up. It's an annual fee. And if your site requires any premium plugins, the purchase and annual maintenance costs, those are yours. Now, if you need assistance with configuration of any of that, I can help you. That is a separate fee. And let's get to the burning question. It's like, okay, let's talk about what it's going to cost. I got two plans. The first one's a gold plan. Starts at $3,500. $3,500 gets you a website just like I've described. It's solid, it performs fast, it's secure, it's efficient. If you need any custom functionality, that starts at $1,500. This is something you and I will discuss before I start work. The next plan is the platinum plan, $4,500. Again, you're going to get a website just like I described. And I do all the configuration, all the testing, and all the verification of all the crazy parts that go into making up a successful website. And there are a lot of them. Custom functionality, again, is the same. Starts at $1,500. We will discuss this before I begin. But I will configure and test your email SPF DNS records, your DKIM DNS text records, your DMARC DNS text records. I will make sure they're spot on, they're verified, they're correct. It will work before you send out your first email, and there will be no chance that you will end up on a blacklist. Very important. I will also set up aggressive on-page SEO to match whatever particular content you provide. Now, this can get down into the weeds really fast, so that's why it's included on this plan and not the other. It can be very, very labor intensive. It's something I'll be happy to work with you. If you want to have a hand in it, or if you just say, Matt, take care of it for me, that's not a problem either. Be happy to do that. So let's explain a little bit about custom work. Let's say you want your download form to be able to give out protected links or to respond to a time-sensitive offer, or you want your download form to limit how many times a lead can access your resources. That's a great example of custom work. Now, what I do is I determine if a suitable plugin exists that does all the things that you want it to do. And if it does, I test it, you buy it, I configure it, we make sure it's working on the site. But if there's no plugin available that does what you want it to do, then you and I will discuss the time and cost of having me code that feature for you from scratch. That's what custom work is. That's where the $1,500 minimum cost starts. So after the site, what's next? Once you have your awesome WordPress site that Matt gave me and you're absolutely in love with it, how do you protect the investment? I mean, you want to protect the investment. Regular maintenance keeps your CMS running smooth. Now, I'm not one of those programmers who abandons you. I don't cut and run and say, oh, here's your site, see ya. That's not me. I'm here for the long haul. If you ever have a question about anything I gave you, you'll always be able to reach out 1 month, 1 year after it's done. Hey, Matt, can we do this? Absolutely, we can. That's who I am as your trusted partner advisor. I wouldn't want anyone to abandon me with a word site. I'm not going to do that to you. So you might be asking yourself, Mac, is maintenance really necessary? Well, it's a good question, but let me turn it around on you and ask you this. Do you maintain your health? Do you maintain your home? Do you maintain your business? Do you maintain your car? And these are not rhetorical questions because your WordPress site is very similar. It must be cared for. And let's go to this analogy about the car. Let's say your aggressive oil change interval is, I'm just going to say 3,000 miles. That's pretty aggressive. Let me tell you this, an aggressive maintenance interval for your CMS is right when the code becomes outdated. The exact moment it becomes outdated. And that can happen at any time. It's nothing you could predict. It's something you always have to watch out for. So this includes your WordPress core files, the version of WordPress that you're on. It includes your theme files. It includes all your plugins. All of these things have to be constantly maintained. Now, there are people who don't like to maintain it, just like there are people who don't like to maintain their car. And this is a picture of someone who didn't maintain their car. And you can see the chocolate fudge that used to be oil in the crank or in the top part of the engine. It's like, no. See, if you let this happen to your car, then this is what is going to happen. Guaranteed, 24/7, 365. You don't want to be on the receiving end of this. We all know this. So if you let your site get outdated in any way, then you can expect that something like this will happen. Let me tell you what you're looking at. Anyone who's on a computer, you can go to greatstorybook.com. You can type that in your browser this very second. You will see exactly what I'm showing you on your slide. What has happened is this is a WordPress website that got left abandoned. It got left abandoned. It was not maintained. This is a server 500 critical error, what we call in WordPress the white screen of death. And this is not something that you want to see. You don't want your site visitors seeing this. It's bad. Now, greatstorybook.com, I did a search on Bing, has at least 1,000 entries in Bing for this URL. It's a very popular URL. The website has been around a long time. But what does this 1,000 entry in Bing tell you? This means there's 1,000 different ways a visitor can see your broken site. 1,000 different pages that are going to show up and say, boom, white screen of death. Again, this is not something that we want to have happen. Now, let's go into a little bit of technical details. How did this site that I just showed you, that is all broken, how did this actually happen? Well, I ran a scan on it. I want to point some things out to you. Number one, they're using an outdated, insecure version of PHP. Current version of PHP is 8.3. I've highlighted here in the scan results, they're using 8.1. You don't want to do this. You don't ever want to do this. You want to stay current in your server technology. Another thing that they've done is they've let their WordPress version get woefully out of date. Version 6.5.4 is the current version. they're using 5.5. In WordPress years, this is like a century old.
Yeah.
It's no exaggeration. You don't want to do this. You can't afford to do this. Another thing I'll point out to you is they're using a Divi page builder for their WordPress site. Nothing wrong with Divi, but it's like anything else. You have to keep it up to date. The version that they're using has at least 5 documented vulnerabilities. That's at least 5 easy ways for someone to hack. And when I say hack, I'm not talking someone who's just going to, manually try and get into your site. I'm talking about thousands of automated attacks that are hitting your WordPress site every second, and they will take advantage of these vulnerabilities. It's going to happen. Now, I just want to have a little bit of fun with Scott here, just to show how relevant this is. I did a quick scan on weclosenotes.com a few days ago, and I want to show you some of the results that I found. Scott is using an outdated, insecure version of WordPress. Again, current version is 6.5.4. Unless he updated it in the last 5 minutes, he's using 6.0.8. Again, not horribly out of date, but important enough that it should be updated as soon as possible. Scott is also using Contact Form 7 plugin, a super popular plugin. The version that is on weclosenotes.com has 3 documented vulnerabilities simply because the plugin is a little bit out of date. This is, it's not something that we want to, let stay forever. I also determined that weclosenotes.com is using a page builder called WP Bakery. Fantastic page builder. The latest version is 7.7. I believe weclosenotes.com is using 6.6.2. And again, in that version, we have about 6 vulnerabilities. They're identified. That's at least 6 different ways that if someone wanted to, they could get unlawful, illegal access to Scott's site and start to do nasty things that nobody wants done. And again, all this is easily taken care of by maintenance. So weclosenotes.com doesn't yet look like greatstorybook.com, but I want to give you a sober warning. It will if the maintenance that I just showed you isn't done. It's very easy to do. If you're comfortable with WordPress, you can do it yourself. If you're not comfortable with it, you can hire me to do it. But no matter who does it, it's got to be done. It's not an option. So how much is maintenance? We've got the website. It's fast. It's secure. We got the security heading set. It's ticking all the boxes. But what about maintenance? I want to protect my investment with WordPress. Well, if you want to hire me to maintain your site, it's a flat $250 a month. You can pay that annually. And when you do, I take 2 months off the top. So $3,000 goes into $2,500. And let me recap for you. When you need a business website, go see Mac. Go see Mac.com. When you need maintenance for that business website that you just bought, hey, go see Mac. Go see Mac.com. When you need help with email configuration, all those crazy text records that I just talked about, you need help getting off a blacklist, God forbid that it happen. Let me digress here for just a second. Blacklists is an industry that is unregulated. There's no rules. Anyone can create a blacklist database and anyone can put your site on it and they don't have to take it off. There are no rules. There's no legality. You could appeal to them, but they don't have to listen. And so I've had success taking a client off of a blacklist, and it is as much art as it is science. So I've got experience doing that. If you happen to be on a blacklist, please get in touch with me. I'll be happy to help you out with that. Again, go see Mac. So if you need to get off a blacklist, like I just mentioned, I'm there to help out. I'm going to make this easy for you. Just go see Mac, and if you've got a WordPress issue, then I'll be happy to help you out. So that's the presentation. I guess we have time for some Q&A.
Yeah, sure do. Okay. Definitely. Oh, leave that up. Leave your last screen up with your contact information. Don't be taking it down. So I typed in the link in the chat roll up for everybody, but leave it up a little bit. We can ask some questions here. And yes, we are monitoring the YouTube live stream for those that are watching on there. Let me pick that back up because there's a few folks that were live on there. Okay. Here we go. We got Larry actually chiming in here. I don't often recommend products or services, but Mac is the real deal. We've been friends for 12 years. If I had to describe in one word, it would be integrity. Mac won't lead you astray. That's good. I'm not getting a kickback.
No, that's not true. I paid Larry $500 to say that.
There we go. Okay, good.
I'm kidding.
I'm kidding. He does, but that's the thing is here. So many people like to throw up a cheap one-page thing. It doesn't work. It doesn't operate well. WordPress is ongoing and it's ever evolving. Like you said, I knew a few things were outdated. We're actually doing a revamp on the website actually right now. Awesome. So I'm actually glad you brought it up.
Yep.
But the great thing about it is like you said, it is a beautiful machine that really can make you look really good with a lot of the different things. And it's an up-to-date that's not going anywhere. A lot of these other websites have popped up or builders or plan have gone the way of the dodo bird. WordPress isn't going anywhere.
Exactly. Yep.
And so we got a question here. So Boyd asked a question here. So 28 days, if we get you everything, it can be roughly around a month then. Is that right?
That's correct, Boyd. Yep. And again, please understand, I'm giving the example of Larry's website, 5wb.llc, those kind of examples. And so something always happens. You think everything's going to be smooth sailing. There's always a glitch. And so, the 4 weeks gives time for that. Now, if you come to me and say, Mac, I need an extravagant website, 800 pages. Okay, that's not happening in 4 weeks. Just to be clear.
Yeah, I mean, that's people should understand that, but it's good you say that there. I need 20 different tabs across the. No, you don't.
Exactly.
You need to have 3, 4, maybe 5 tabs, and that's about it for the most part. I've got a question here for content creation. Are you recommending we use AI, and what AI service do you like the most?
Oh man, I'm going to get in trouble here. Look, AI has its place. Okay, it does, but I don't care who's selling the software. I don't care how much Google boasts about their AI creation tools, Chat GPT, Midjourney. I don't care what you're doing. None of that replaces your original, authentic content that ties into who you are, what you do, where you're at, and why it matters. Because that's all that Google wants to see.
Yeah.
And Google, even though they have their own, AI creation tools, you can't tell me that Google isn't going to figure out a way to determine, hey, is this content more or less legit, or is this content AI? Google's going to do it. You just take it to the bank. And so why take a chance? Just be authentic, be original with your service and your opportunity, and let that speak for itself. So yeah, I might not be exactly what you wanted to hear, but that's my take on AI.
Well, I'm very glad you say that, because it can spit out some great stuff, but it may not actually be 100% accurate. And people can tell when it isn't you typing. They can tell what the words you say, your humor.
Exactly.
And while some of these AI tools can kind of help that, like I can tell when somebody's throwing a newsletter out there that's just all AI written. I'm like, okay, that's not the big thing. And while that's great to help you prime the pump, I like to use AI basically for giving me ideas. Like, give me the top 50 or the 10 reasons somebody should use an IRA to invest with, include it, on this and this. And you can use this stuff, but it's not meant to replicate what's coming out of your mouth. And it doesn't have to be that difficult, ladies and gentlemen.
Totally agree.
But updating your website is one of the most valuable things you do. And that's part of the reason a blog or updating content. That's why we have the podcast on there. It's why we transcribe our videos and blogs fully most of the time. So it's one of the most important things. And that's the thing, guys. If you want to travel through the world, through space out there, the internet, the final frontier, with a nice enterprise, or do you want a shitty Klingon?
Right, exactly. Yep.
Best way, so go see Mac.com, reach out to them, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
We don't bring people on here unless we're using our coaching students that use them. I paid a whole lot more for my website years ago than what Mac is charging. I can tell you that. So that's a great price to have it customized. And then the ongoing maintenance is just as valuable. And that's really a great price to have somebody in your corner there. I mean, you need a Mac to beam me up, and he's giving her all she's got, Captain.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Scott.
No problem. Any final questions before we let Mac go? Get back to his Monday evening there, watching the highlights of the Wolverine Championship.
That's right.
Just joking with you. Are you a football fan, Mac?
A little bit. I mean, this is going to be ironic. I learned to be a Spurs fan, even though I'm a Buckeye. And the most interesting thing happened. I was in San Antonio. The Spurs were playing. It was a long time ago. I was dating someone in San Antonio. The Spurs won. And then the next day, I couldn't believe it. Every place I went, every gas station was handing out free coffee. Free coffee. For why is coffee free? Because the Spurs won. That's why it's free. And I'm thinking, well, we don't do that in Ohio, but that's pretty cool. So, yeah.
Yeah, gotta love the Spurs. I'm a big fan of the. I hope they're better than they've been. I was very fortunate enough to go and watch and make it to a couple finals games for their first ever NBA championship, and gone to at least usually one game a year for the most part. But it's a fun thing. But that's the thing. That's teamwork. They got somebody helping maintain their bodies, maintaining their coaching, maintaining their website on a regular basis too.
Exactly. Just like you got to change oil in your car, you got to keep your WordPress site running. Yep.
Amen to that. Well, good. Well, Mac, thank you for coming on Note Night in America and sharing here. Once again, guys and gals, go see Mac, M-A-C, go see Mac.com. If you're listening to this, check out, we'll put the link in the description. If you're watching it, and the link will also be below in the description there on YouTube. Thanks for commenting, for asking the questions. Thanks for everybody joining us, John, Kenneth, Lisa, Larry, as well as Boyd. So go out, take some action, and take your business to the next level, and let Mac help you do that. We'll see you guys at the top. Everybody.
Thank you, everybody.